So, Kamen Rider Geats Episode 12, Conspiracy Part 3, Slot Fever, or Conspiracy Part 3, Slot Star Fever. But this episode continued and finished the Escaping the Labyrinth game that they had to do, but it also saw the return of Kamen Rider Tycoon as Keiwa is back in the game. But with Kamen Rider Tycoon entering the game once again, that means the old man had to retire from the game, which was one of the conditions that was introduced by the Game Master, which makes sense because the old man was pretty banged up after what happened last episode, but I'm glad that he didn't die. He got to retire peacefully, and he had a good moment when he left the game because Keiwa did say that means you didn't get to fulfill your wish, but the old man was saying, hey, I got to live my life to the fullest, and I'm glad I got to see you young folks succeed. So I really enjoyed seeing the old man sort of have a nice moment in this episode, and I'm glad that he didn't bite the dust, because I was worried that he might bite the dust, but he lived through it and he retired happily. But Tycoon entering the game again, which is something that's going to be really interesting. I kind of knew that Tycoon would probably come back eventually once we saw the poster for the Revice and Geats movie, because you can see Tycoon on the poster. So I thought it'd be a matter of time before they reintroduce the character so soon. And although he was reintroduced a little bit, I don't want to say too quickly, I want to say like if you're binging it might seem a little bit quickly, but I'm glad they did space out his return later down the line, because Tycoon is going to get some pretty cool power-ups moving forward in the game. So this episode focused on the whole plot where Punk Jack wants to sort of get Geats eliminated from the game, and he's trying to plant the seeds into everyone's head, or mostly Buffer's head that we saw in this episode, trying to suggest that they should leave Geats behind so they can escape. And Buffer's not having any of it as he's sort of caught on to what's going on, but not only that, Geats is caught on to their plan as well. But at the end of the episode, you kind of do see Punk Jack persuading Buffer to listen to his plan, and Buffer's like, I'm listening. So I wonder if Buffer's going to play along, or Buffer is actually going to turn heel again. But I get the feeling that Buffer is going to use Punk Jack to his advantage if they can get Geats eliminated. So I hope that Buffer isn't going to play too dirty trying to get Geats eliminated. But there was this really cool scene when Geats discovered what Punk Jack was up to, and it looked like that the two characters were going to throw down for a second, but Samori interjected saying, hey, you can't fight, that's against the rules. So I did enjoy the stare-off that they had. They had that big Dragon Ball Z stare down, but then Samori intervened before they could sort of transform and start fighting. And if they did start fighting, then that would probably get a lot of points deducted from the players. But I'm surprised that Punk Jack is going to resort to that later, doing something that's going to sort of get himself eliminated by having Geats or someone else like beat down on him and make him lose points. They make him drop down on the score. Now, one of the highlights for this episode was the cool fight scenes we got. When Tycoon henchened again, there's this really cool fight scene with him and Geats fighting in the church or fighting in the hallway, and it looked really freaking cool with how the fight was filmed and how it went all over the place. It was freaking great. I loved it. I especially loved how they set it up where Buffer was about to use the ninja power, but it got knocked out of his hand, and then conveniently Tycoon finds it and he can use his old ninja powers again, and that set up that fight scene I was talking about earlier. But because the episode is called Slot Fever, we saw a lot of the characters using the Fever slot buckles, so we got to see a different bunch of combinations for these characters, and a lot of them did get gypped with the pulls they got when it came to these combinations, and then they did it again, and then they got the combinations they got. But Geats got the double magnum power, which is basically him wielding two guns, and he acts like Bayonetta, where he can sort of use both guns and shoot from his feet, it looked like at one point. It was a really crazy cool scene, and I did get a kick out of it. But we also saw the Jamato using the buckle again, because they destroyed the main one in this episode, the one that was hunting him down, and then one of them just picked it up and held onto it again. But they do say something really interesting in this episode that does get Geats' attention. And that is the word Durapia. But I gotta say, there's another cool Geats fight scene that I gotta talk about, and that is when Geats is also walking through the garden and just blasting through all the Jamato. It was a really well filmed scene, and I gotta say, it's really cool. I hope someone does like an edit of that where they either put like a DMC edit over it or a Bayonetta edit over it, where it's just racking up combo points as he's just walking through the garden, mowing down people. I could probably do it, but I don't wanna. But yeah, this episode saw the end of the Labyrinth game where they all escaped in the end and they solved the puzzle. But you've also got the Punk Jack sort of persuading frickin' Buffer to come to his side and help him out. But not only that, we've also got Tycoon back in the game, which we got to see what his brand new wish is, and his brand new wish is, it isn't world peace, something corny like that. It's something slightly corny as well, where he wants to revive everyone who was defeated by the Jamato, which we're seeing how all their cracked ID cores are being fed to the baby Jamatos in the garden. I don't know, because we got another creepy ending scene where we saw the garden again, and he's just spraying the Jamato and he's like feeding him, and he wants death to the Grand Desire Pre. He wants the game to end or something like that. I don't like that gardener dude. He's creepy, and I'm hoping we get answers about him eventually. He could be Kamen Rider Glare that we've seen in the scans coming up. No idea. But I'll probably talk about Kamen Rider Glare later down the line, because there's been some speculations with who they might be. But anyway, guys, Kamen Rider Geats episode 12. I enjoyed it. I got a laugh out of it. I got a kick out of it. I can't wait to see where the show is going to go next with the next game, because the next episode preview looks wild once again, and we see another brand new power-up, the one I talked about recently on my channel, so we'll be seeing that next week. But like I said, I can't wait to see where the show is going to go next, and I get the feeling once Kamen Rider Glare shows up on the show, that's when I feel like things are going to kick up a notch, and maybe they'll stop doing the whole game thing. I don't know, that's just a theory and speculation from what I'm guessing on what everyone else has said. So it's possible, it's plausible, but what did you guys think of episode 12 of Kamen Rider Geats? Tell me in the comments section down below, and if you enjoyed this video, hit that like button, subscribe to the channel if you're new, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out, take care, bye.